Sessions.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy, at his press availability yesterday, President Trump tackled a range of topics from trade to
subpoenas and his family
to Iran and confrontation. Asked about the prospect of military confrontation, President Trump said this.
Risk of military confrontation, sir?
I guess you could say that always, right? Isn't it? I mean, always. I don't want to say no, but hopefully that won't happen. We have one of the most powerful ships in the world that's loaded up, and we don't want to have to do anything. What I'd like to see with Iran, I'd like to see them call me. You know, John Kerry speaks to them a lot.
This is where it gets interesting.
John Kerry tells them not to call. That's a violation of the Logan Act. And frankly, he should be prosecuted on that. But my people don't want to do anything that's... Only the Democrats do that kind of stuff, you know? Yes. If it were the opposite way, they'd prosecute him under the Logan Act. But John Kerry violated the Logan Act. He's talking to Iran and has many meetings and many phone calls, and he's telling them what to do. That is a total violation of the Logan Act, because what they should be doing is their economy is a mess ever since I took away the Iran deal. They have inflation that's the highest number I've ever heard. They're having riots every weekend and during the week even. And what they should be doing is calling me up, sitting down. We can make a deal, a fair deal. We just don't want them to have nuclear weapons. Not too much to ask. And we would help put them back into great shape. They're in bad shape right now. I look forward to the day where we can actually help Iran. We're not looking to hurt Iran. I want them to be strong and great and have a great economy.
Okay, so there's a couple of things there. One, the last piece first. No, I don't want Iran to be strong. I think I get what Trump is saying and trying to interpret in a way most beneficial to him. Talking about the Iranian people that suffer under this theocratic dictatorship under which they live. Okay, if that's his point, he wants the Iranian people to be successful and happy and all that. Fine. The Iranian regime is the leading sponsor of terrorism in the world. So no, I don't want it to be strong. I don't want it to be great. I want it to hopefully, ideally, fall at the hands of a popular uprising. Unfortunately, that hasn't come to pass. The other matter, though, I mean, going back to the Obama administration, is there anybody in the Obama administration who shouldn't be under federal criminal scrutiny? If what he's saying about John Kerry is true, boy, is that problematic. And it's a remarkable thing to say about a former Secretary of State, that he is interfering with the current administration's diplomatic relationship with Iran in these anxious times. A remarkable statement. It's surprising how little play it's gotten, actually, but we'll give it a little bit more play because we've got an expert in the space to help us. He is Cliff May, the president of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Cliff, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to be with you guys.
So what about that? What about the John Kerry assertion that President Trump made?
Yeah, what John Kerry has been doing is really disreputable. Keep in mind, we do not have formal diplomatic relations with the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran for 40 years has been dedicated quite openly to death to America.
Right.
And it has carried that out starting fairly early on. Don't forget, this is the country that took Americans hostages. Our diplomats seized our embassy in 1979. That was an act of war. They were behind Hezbollah blowing up the Marine barracks in Beirut just a few years later. They were responsible for about 600 American deaths in the Iraq War, both by funding and instructing Shia militias and providing the improvised explosive devices and penetrators that were used to kill Americans. They've been killing Americans for years. And going back to 1979, the response in Iran to America has been, as Ayatollah Khomeini said, the Americans can't do a damn thing. Now, they may be wondering whether this administration is different because Republican and Democratic administrations alike have not punished the Islamic Republic of Iran, that regime, for killing Americans over a 40-year period. What Kerry is doing by colluding with the Islamic Republic of Iran is very wrong. We believe he's advising them. You can wait out the Trump administration. You'll probably get a Democrat in office in 2021, and at that point, the United States will join again on the Iran deal that Kerry negotiated, and you'll just be fine. You'll be able to have a peaceful path to the acquisition of nuclear weapons, even while you remain, what they've been for years, according to the U.S. government, the leading sponsor of terrorism in the world.
Well, how is that possible? John Kerry has had, how long has he had a relationship with them, and why is he still able to do this? And is there some truth to President Trump saying that they should enact the Logan Act?
He has a very close relationship, evidently, with Javad Zarif, who is the foreign minister. He's a very clever guy. As you may have heard, he speaks absolutely fluent English and absolutely, frankly, fluent liberal. If you read his tweets or you hear him, he knows just what he's doing. He is very, very clever. I think John Kerry likes him a lot. Is he violating the Logan Act? I would say so. Nobody has ever been actually prosecuted under the Logan Act. That doesn't mean it can't be done or it can't be investigated. We just spent 2 years investigating whether President Trump had colluded or conspired.
Well, in addition to that, we spent 2 years listening to Democrats talk about General Flynn or Jeff Sessions violating the Logan Act with these what turned out to be innocuous interactions with Kislyak and other Russian personnel.
That's exactly right. They've been complaining about it. Now they say, "Oh, the Logan Act, that's not relevant. Nobody takes that seriously." But they took it seriously over the past 2 years when they are accusing General Flynn of violating it. And I think that it's pretty clear that John Kerry is flagrantly violating the Logan Act by negotiating with the foreign minister of the Islamic Republic of Iran and very likely suggesting that he not cooperate, not say, let's go back and negotiate an agreement that you'll be satisfied with. But he's saying you can wait Trump out. You could have Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris as the next president, and they'll all be a lot more willing to appease you.
That is, I mean, am I losing my mind for no reason? That is an amazing situation against the backdrop of this administration putting the Republican Guard on the terrorist list, in addition to everything everyone knows about Iran, both in past, as you went through in part, as well as present, with the fighting in Gaza, with propping up Maduro in Venezuela. And as I said, every other instance of terrorism in the world, somehow you have Iran through one of its tendrils involved, Yemen, etc. And you have John Kerry running interference for Rouhani with the American presidential administration. I mean, I don't want to use the T word that the left is so loose-lipped about using, but I mean, that is anti-American at minimum.
Yeah, it is certainly not a loyal opposition. But, of course, a lot of Democrats, I didn't know that Kerry was among them, believe they're not in the loyal opposition. They're in the resistance. And they want to prevent this administration from implementing its foreign policies, certainly from implementing them successfully. They feel that Trump's failure, it would be a good thing. And they don't see that would also harm America. And I think people like John Kerry also, they're stuck in some odd belief that people like Zarif represent the moderates in the Islamic Republic of Iran who somehow can be our friends, who somehow, once they know we respect them, everything will be fine. There's no evidence of that at all. The billions of dollars that the Obama administration gave to the Islamic Republic of Iran did not go for health care or insurance or schools. It has gone for terrorism. It has gone for mercenaries in Syria and Iraq. It has gone for a program to develop missiles that can carry the nuclear warheads that they don't admit they are in the process of developing, and which the Iran deal at most may have delayed a little. And that was useful to Iran as well, because the Islamic Republic thought, we have a lot of different programs we have to work on. We're not going to get nuclear weapons and a means to deliver them in the next 2 or 3 years. Let's work on what we can work on. Let's take in this money. Let's get Europe on our side. Listen, a lot of times you hear the controversy over whether the Islamic Republic is abiding by the nuclear deal. Of course they should. It is a great deal for them. It is a terrible deal for the U.S. and for the West because it doesn't stop the leading sponsor of terrorism in the world from getting nuclear weapons. It gives them a patient pathway towards that goal.
All right, well, speaking of weapons, North Korea, Kim Jong-un fired 2 short-range missiles in the second weapons test in less than a week. What kind of message or warning, what's he trying to do here?
Well, it's fairly obvious. He's trying to up the ante and say, listen, I need some. I want concessions from you. I'm not getting what I want. I want you to lift the sanctions on me. The sanctions are not as tough as I think they could be and should be. I think we've gotten tougher with the Islamic Republic of Iran in terms of economic warfare, but with North Korea, there's a long way to go. He's still being a little bit cautious. These are short-range missiles. He is still holding to a moratorium on long-range missiles and nuclear tests, but of course that could change at any time. He needs to know that there's a chance that his economy could implode, that his regime is in more danger if it continues to build nuclear weapons and missiles to deliver them to America's shores than if he doesn't. He has to be convinced of that. This is a very tough time because, to the credit of the Trump administration, they are addressing serious national security threats that previous presidents did not address. They just kicked the cans down the road. But the result is we have confrontations with North Korea, with the Islamic Republic of Iran, or with China, and Vladimir Putin is doing what Vladimir Putin does. And a lot of what he does is very clever and very dangerous. He plays a weak hand very well, and he is trying to make Russia powerful again. It's a very difficult time.
And it's getting more difficult with each passing day. Yesterday, a key diplomat, of course I'm talking about Kim Jong-un bestie Dennis Rodman, was arrested at a Vibes hot yoga studio in Newport Beach, California for theft. So I don't know if he's going to be available to help negotiate or to replace Nikki Haley as the U.S. ambassador to the UN, as he suggested he could do.
Yeah, we have a lot of key positions in the Foreign Service that have not been fulfilled, and for Dennis Rodman to be on the bench, that's a real problem.
Yeah. All right.
I'm watching the video right now. It's crazy.
You got to try to end with a little levity in these serious times. Yeah,
take
please
a look,
do.
Because then they drop a $2,500 crystal sculpture. It's so crazy.
I mean, first you had Henry Kissinger getting ensnared with that Theranos thing and Elizabeth Holmes. Now you got another great diplomat, Dennis Rodman, often spoke of in the same sentence, Kissinger and Rodman, ensnared in this yoga studio issue. Boy, it's just, okay. All right, Cliff, sorry to take you down our little funny rat hole there. He is the rabbit hole, excuse me. President of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Cliff May. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560.